I'm Maureen Ballatori, and this is Spilled Salt, a podcast on the thrills and spills from the food, beverage, and agriculture industries. Today's guest is Ben Alfi. He is the founder and CEO of Bluewhite. They equip existing fleets like tractors with autonomous technology, an easy-to-use platform, and end-to-end service supporting a grower's journey to a more profitable and sustainable farm. So in short, that means that they are turning any tractor that farms any crops into an autonomous vehicle. Pretty remarkable concept, but what I love most about today's conversation with Ben is his approach and mindset to the business as a whole. So we talk about what it has meant for him to scale and what that's looked like for him. His go-to-market strategy is chef's kiss. And he really puts a lot of emphasis on the relationships that he's developed in the industry as a key to the success. Enjoy the conversation. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hello. How is everything? I really, it's an early morning in California, and can't wait to this discussion, and everything is great.
Good. Glad to hear it. Well, thank you for joining me. I'm very excited to capture your story on today's show.
Sure.
So you spent 25 years in the Israeli Air Force. I'd love to start there. Can you talk a little bit about that experience? And take me all the way back to the beginning in terms of why you chose to go into the Air Force in the first place, as well as what the experience was like.
Well, I'm guessing being a young competitive and seeing too much Top Gun. I think this is how it started. But the main idea is, I think, being at the life in spending so much time in the Air Force, it didn't change my character, but for sure in my the way I'm seeing things. Addressing values always first, in a way, talking about trust, seeing things long term, and not a short-sighted look. I think these are things that really are rooted in the way I'm feeling, creating something in a way that it's a great balance, I'd say, between taking your personal achievements to the edge, in a way, being a fighter pilot, but on the other side also dealing with the cause, dealing with the big picture.
Right.
So I think this is something that is rooted deep in me.
Yeah.
And also part of, and on the professional side, the last 10 years of my service were around unmanned systems and dealing with anything from 2 pounds to 6 tons, air and ground vehicles, developing programs from ideas, from need to seeing it actually happening, to see that being a pilot is something that is going to be obsolete quite soon. This is
Right.
also a huge way of, people invested in millions of dollars, and just to take off and land, and all the mistakes usually are man error. And we created systems along the days of where you have 18-year-old boys and girls after 3 weeks doing crazy things from an air-conditioned room. So, things are changing. So I've seen change. These are the main things and characteristics, I guess.
So I certainly resonate with, you mentioned values first, and it's about trust. I definitely resonate with that. And I think that it's something that's really common in the agricultural industry too, right? Is that shared value alignment, right? That you have to have. It's so important. But I want to talk more about your transition to, or not transition to, but your work in, how did you get into working on the unmanned systems work in the Air Force? How did you go into that detail, I guess, is the better question.
This is something that happens on your profession side. You still you still fly once a week to meditate, but you get a profession, and new technologies always were part of my interest,
Mm.
and I dug into this rabbit hole and just saw things that are just amazing, and the ability to save lives, the ability to create scale, the ability to take technology to the maximum, the ability to increase safety, and all those things were really, really of interest to me. And where I come from is a place where we looked at unmanned systems strategically from 4 decades ago, saying, okay, life is precious and
Hmm.
technology is coming, and let's use it to the maximum. And I think
Yeah.
taking this to and this what we call the civilian lives here, and you talked about it. It's not like Blue-White from the beginning said, "Oh, we're gonna transform agriculture, disrupt our agriculture." And do that. We started with saying, okay, we know autonomous vehicle. Let's see where can it work.
Mm.
You
So
know,
take me down that path, because that was my next question in terms of where did I guess it's clear where the idea for the business came from, certainly evolved from some of your work in the Air Force, but how did that, you just mentioned we sort of took this idea of where is the need? How did you determine where there was a need for autonomous vehicles in agriculture?
we searched any type. We looked at big areas where autonomous vehicle in a way is supposed to help blue collar workers transform from pilots and drivers to robot operators.
Mm,
And the idea is to, first of all, we looked at the metrics, and when we say we looked, it means that we offered our solution in all of those industries. You cannot really know until somebody is either paying or not paying for you for what you're
sure.
offering. Okay, and these were the first 3 years of our work from 2017, where we said, okay. We looked at urban mobility, we looked at mining, agriculture, first responders, military. We said from the beginning we don't want to do, um, and others. And we looked at how big is the TAM, how big is the market, how mature the technology is slash can it really work with the available technology now and the next
Hmm.
5 years, can it really work? And the need. How
Right.
desperate is the need? Because when people are desperate, disruption is happening, evolution is happening. This is how evolution is happening. And for example, urban mobility, huge TAM. There is a need. I can still have an Uber driver quite easily in the cities, but we see that at the future people would like not to do that. But need is medium, I'd say.
Hmm.
But the technology is not there. The technology is not there. It's a complex environment. It's just too much. And
Hmm.
when we looked at when first responders, for example, the technology is there, the need is high, but people will not pay a lot for that technology, and the technology is still expensive. And when we're looking in agriculture, it was like, you know, all the stars are aligning amazingly, amazingly. And
Hmm.
every day that passes is it even goes. The technology, um, we know we have very unique technology, how to work with no GPS and no connectivity
Mm,
and
okay.
sensor fusion. We said, okay, this is a great place for that. And rugged areas. It's so this is hard. It is hard, but it's achievable. And the place, usually we took high value crops because there are a lot of tractors per acre all year long, and the operation cost of labor and chemical
Right.
usage and the amount of tractors is huge. And then we said, okay, and we went to growers and ask, hey, what's going on? Do you have a need? And then I said, okay, next question, please.
Yeah, right. Because the
Okay.
need is certain. Right.
Okay.
Absolutely. The need is certain.
Yeah. And now you take this part with the first question about values, where we
Yeah.
came and we said we want to create an impact worldwide through autonomy, with the
Mm-hmm.
values of fellowship, love of the land, and innovation. And those values were before we found agriculture. And so you take the values, you take the industry, you take the attitude of long-term players, okay? They don't want to see, okay, show it to me like next week. I'm with you. We understand it's a big thing. We understand it's a long-term change.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's work on it together. So
Yeah,
from
which goes back to what you were mentioning about your time in the Air Force, where you developed the ability to see that long term vision,
yeah,
right? Where you can play the long game and it doesn't have to be, what do you have for me right now? Because I think that that's a common thing in agriculture, right? I'm building a talk for next week is the Cultivate conference
yeah,
in Minnesota.
okay.
And the topic is about how the brand story is so important for the actual adoption of innovation. And one of the things that is the root of all of that is your ability to grow trust, especially in agriculture, to grow trust with your consumer before they will adopt. So,
Uh,
what are your thoughts about that in terms of, especially with all of the work that you did about where can this be applied? What is the best industry, sector, or vertical for this application of autonomous vehicles? You chose agriculture. How did you build trust?
yeah, first of all, transparency. Um, I can tell you that, for example, at the beginning, um, although I knew a lot of things, I didn't know that I did not know a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And and I think these are critical. When you don't know what you don't know. Today we have a good idea of how the roadmap should be. Small examples. We tested our things in Israel. Okay, in Israel you have connectivity anywhere. It's a very small country.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you have reception anywhere.
Yeah.
I'm coming to America, California. Should be, the land of the brave. Should be everything amazing when we come, and zero reception, zero, zero. Okay, what the hell? How do I now start? What and we need to deliver. Okay, so the main idea was, okay, at the beginning, hey, listen, we thought it's like this. This is how it is. We're working on it. Okay, and this is how we do it. Yes, in around 5 months, we created a huge corporation with Intel and creating local 5G network, and we solved it. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
this is a good way to show trust. Okay, you show, hey, I have it, but you're not. But if you're keeping it to yourself and you're not transparent and you're not saying, okay, what how does it work? These are things that are. This is really, it creates misalignment and it affects everything. This is I think huge example. So, main idea. Okay, once we understand that something that we thought of is not happening, just say it. Okay, the
Yeah.
market the market is huge enough. The problem is huge enough. I said the challenge is huge enough, not the problem. But and look around you, growers. Okay, you have those guys, and if they cannot succeed, you're stuck. Okay, so once this transition, I'm not trying to sell. Okay, I'm not trying to sell.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to create relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to create an affordable business for all of us. We are trying to create together a win-win situation. Okay, where this was your operation cost, um, and this operation cost is actual money that just went to waste,
Mm-hmm.
in a way. And how
Mm-hmm.
can we solve it together? So
Yeah.
Maybe
I
I've enhanced too much on the answer, but this is, you just
no.
pinned on a nerve of how does
Yeah.
that, this is how, by examples, this is the only way to show it.
Yeah, I agree. And it's so important. I'm so glad that you mentioned relationships, and especially at your scale. So you mentioned you launched Bluewhite in 2017. You just closed a cool 39 million in your Series C. Can't and I'm glad to hear you still emphasize the importance of relationships at that scale, because I think sometimes it's said you can't do, one-on-one relationships and close relationships in that way when you are at that scale. So what does that look like for you today compared to what it looked like for you maybe in the early days?
Um, we're doing the same trick. And the same trick is, how do you create a relationship that also help scalable go to market? So from the beginning, we were direct sales to growers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Medium and big growers, where you create direct relationship. Now we have moved in the last year to dealerships,
Okay.
where dealerships are, and they are a crucial part in the ecosystem. There was a discussion: should we go on direct sales or use the dealership chain? Again, I want to focus on what I know. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
if I can create a trustable environment where the dealership wins, the grower wins, and we are winning, perfect. Let's do it that way. And they are installing our kits on tractors.
Beautiful.
They are doing the onboarding. They are talking about, to us, where should we focus our technological roadmap, because we are creating more and more capabilities. Should we focus on targeted spraying, or should we talk about a harvester for almonds? Okay, how should it be?
You are working with the dealerships to ask them what makes sense in terms of your next R&D. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I mean, this
Mm-hmm.
is an
Great.
example, okay, and because I have a certain amount of R&D that I can create capabilities. I know the velocity of capabilities that I can create. Always you create enough capabilities. Today, for example, today we take any existing tractor, transform it to autonomous, and any type of tractor can work in any type of crop and do any type of mission. This is the ballpark idea. We started with the top tier best-selling tractors
Yeah.
as the information. Okay, what are the best selling tractors that you would like us to work on? Then we took the best selling crops: almonds, citrus, vineyards, and apples. And then we extended it a bit more. And then, okay, what are the best selling missions that are needed? So, first of all, do chemicals. Why? We want to take the tractor drivers away from chemicals and to create safe environment. Okay, then mowing, then herbicide, and then we'll extend more. So this is an example how you're creating more and more scalable capabilities. And I know
Yeah.
already what are the options from 2 years from now, but it can transition, because we cannot do like just a waterfall program and without having reaction
Yeah.
from from them. Another work with the dealerships, which is an amazing achievement that we've created. Um, we're sending them a box from our pre-assembly line with the hardware kit from actuation, sensors, communication, and everything. They take a normal tractor, regular tractor, 7 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It's in a full autonomous vehicle in one
That
day.
is wild, Ben. It's wild.
So, and the idea was, it started with talking to them. Okay, what do you know to do in your dealership? Okay, everybody is a handyman. You give already services. What is the toolbox you have? I don't want you to buy a new toolbox. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so with this and IKEA guide, okay, this is how you do it. And we started with a certain amount of hours that we thought internally when we practiced it, and they did it. They saved around 30% of the time in a week. They made it much better than us. So the idea of allocating, okay, who does what they've done for more than a century, take it to the maximum, and this is fellowship in a way. Okay, so everything is entwined. So this is why I love my job.
I can tell. I can tell by the way you talk about it that you're passionate about it. And I think too, so in preparing for this conversation, one of the reflections I had, I grew up on a dairy farm. And so my dad had a case IH older than me, and still to this day, I think still has it kicking around on the farm. And so I can only imagine what it would mean for him, not in today's day and age, because he hasn't been farming for a number of years. He's been out of it, but it just makes me think about small farms. And you mentioned any tractor, any crop.
Uh,
So how do you deal with, you'd mentioned relationships too, but like, what sort of reservations are you getting more so from the small farms, perhaps, that you're not getting from a large farm that is less hesitant to incorporate technology into their farming practices?
First of all, everybody wants to incorporate technology now. Okay, I can tell you
Yes.
this. It's happening. So just on the last sentence. Okay, yes, I think they want. The only thing they want is that it won't be on their back. Okay, this is the only thing. Give it to me. So in a way that I'm willing to, put some skin in the game, but I want to see it happening. What happened in agriculture until now? The technology was focused on yield. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and when you promise yield, it's tricky.
Right, because
How,
there's so many factors outside of your control.
how can you
Yep.
prove it? Okay, how can you prove yield? And who is paying until yield is proven? Is it you? Is it me? Who is
Right.
bleeding here? Okay, and I have my it's my shift. I'm the grower. It's my shift. I took it from my parents, and I'm going to inherit it to my daughters or my children to make sure that it's happy for them. And I have 25 shots of yield.
Right.
So what we're talking about, and here what is nice, we're talking about operation cost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have people now. So this is it's a binary issue. Okay, when you have people, how is the quality? It's degrading. The guy doesn't know how to press a clutch. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
or the quality of the work. So can we enhance the quality of the work? How is the safety in your farm? How much chemicals are you wasting? What
Mm-hmm.
is the downtime in a manned shift? We see 4 vehicles doing spraying campaign with people, 4 vehicles with a person operating robot autonomous vehicles, and we see downtime in an 8 hour
Right.
shift. It's around, I'd say, a very good farm is 5 hours of tractor running. Usually it's three.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Wow.
or 3.5 or 4, but it's anything around that, because everybody is having a break at the same time, and things like that. Robots
Right.
don't need to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, and so all kinds of examples that we're talking on operation cost,
Mm-hmm.
which it's easier to say, okay, I'm with you, let's go for it. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that it gives more peace of mind too. Like you mentioned, everybody wants to adopt technology. I think, yes, you're right about that. However, they need to make sure that it's going to deliver, right?
yeah, yeah,
And I'm with you. You can't make promises because there are too many factors outside of your control. But that's exactly why it goes back to the factors that you mentioned: fellowship or partnership or collaboration, love of the land, innovation.
yeah,
That when you have shared values on those components as well, right? That we're on the same page about these things,
yeah,
yourself and the farmer. There's an
yeah,
alignment there. And so there's an inherent trust
yeah.
that comes with their comfort in applying new technology, that they don't have to be as afraid because they have the warm and fuzzies from the shared value.
I totally this. And what we're talking about a lot with growers, with the dealerships, also with the OEMs. Okay, you don't need to buy a new tractor.
Right.
If you buy a new tractor, it's great. Just put autonomous kit on it, from the
Yeah.
beginning. And in
Right.
the future, we will offer you factory installed. And in the future, I'm guessing we'll have Bluewhite inside with OEM tractors.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but this is how Bluewhite will evolve. But
Yep.
you are now you are there. You either, if you buy a new tractor, just put it with that capability. If you are not planning on buying a new tractor, let's take the tractors that you think that you will still have here for the next 5 years, and let's,
Mm-hmm.
let's bolt in on them. So you start without investing, couple of hundred of thousands of dollars per vehicle of autonomous vehicle just to drive, and there are even offers of more expensive vehicles on that part. The other side, we yes, there is a change. Okay, you are
Mm-hmm.
transforming. We will be with you. We'll make it very simple for you. We'll be there for you. But this is not like, okay, this is how it works. Okay, how do I implement it? We know how to do it, but we need you also to be there and to say, okay, I'm willing to put that effort. I did not put the effort of investing, I don't know, $1 million just for 4 vehicles,
Yeah.
but I'm with you to create that change. We will. It's either us or the dealership will do the training for your people. You don't need to get new people. Moreover, diversity wise, you have more availability. Okay, it's not the same truck. There are much more people in the world, men and women, who are willing to be robot operators than tractor drivers.
Right.
So all kinds of these discussions that okay, just see what you're expecting. And I'm not doing qualification for a grower. It's not the
Mm.
correct wording, but in a way, it's about timing. Okay, maybe it's not the time. And there are
Right.
many, many growers that feel that this is the time from them, and it's not just the early adopters. So
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. It's very exciting. Tell me about a high point and a low point from your time scaling Blue White.
I think I've reflected the low point where, especially at the beginning, when you say, okay, it's much more complex than I thought. It's not, there is a huge difference between showing a tractor driving without a person in the vehicle to create a product which has a lot of redundancies and a lot of points on that area. For me, for example, it was very important safety. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm very happy I did not get to the statistical low point of a big safety event. It's statistical. It will happen. We're just trying to take it as far as possible. We have already more than 60,000 hours of work, and we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm guessing all those points were. My low points is when I disappoint myself, not or
Mm.
where I when I'm disappointing my team or on our side. These are usually the part, but they're also the high points in a way because we debrief from them. We Debriefing is very important. We are very transparent on anything that we're doing. We're talking about it, and to have a grower that started with small amount of vehicles and say, hey, I wanna go and put more vehicles in my farms, and I see it happen, and this is huge. To see workers in the company who've created the technology, and now you see it actually at the field working. To see that a small feature of obstacle detection worked because some crazy guy decided to come with this vehicle, and now the vehicle was detected and it stopped at the correct time, and you thought, okay, I'm doing it, but I'm not sure it's needed. Boom,
Yeah.
and you see it happening. These are, for me, these are highs. I have
Mm-hmm.
usually it's about people. My highs, really simple,
Yeah.
simple
Yeah.
things.
And you've mentioned safety a number of times throughout this conversation too. I can tell that that's really important to you. And I think that that's a great point. The example that you just gave is you put the safety measures in place and you hope for the best, right? Because like you said, statistically things are going to happen. Hopefully the statistic is very, very low. And when you have a situation where the safety measures that you've put in place are working, that they came through, that you had a moment where it was, we put that in and it did its job, I can imagine that that has saved someone's life in some cases, probably,
You
right?
you don't.
That's so important.
You're correct. I'm just not hoping for the best on that part. You need to work on it. You need to decide that it's important. You put a VP that is in charge of safety. Anything that you are doing and developing first, safety first is about it. You give it priorities. We are working agile, so we can do a fix. And if something is
Hmm.
not working well, you're not hoping that it won't work. You just fix it. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's about prioritization. You talk about it. You always address it. So and this is on that side, but really on the other side, when I see people today in the farms, the only reason there isn't a rule or legislation of taking that we should be obliged to take people out of the tractor when they're spraying chemicals or when they're mowing with all
Mm,
that dust in their lungs. Uh, you know, 10, 15 years ago, I was in an aircraft flying and there were people smoking. There was a smoking place. You are allowed to, and you look at it today, it's like crazy. No, and I think this is what we will think about 10 years from now. Say, how
yeah.
people sprayed those, all those things and with the dust and everything, and they were near that, not near those tractors. Yes, it's great to ride a tractor, to drive a tractor like once a day for an hour or two to meditate. But you don't want to do it 14 hours day and night. And
Yeah.
it's just a job that if a robot can do it and we can just supervise it, I think everybody would love it. So
Yeah.
this is
Fantastic.
this is how I look at it.
Great outlook. So last question for you. What's next for Bluewhite? What are you most excited about?
I think on the scaling, we're working on those three areas, making first of all the growers happy and creating more and more capabilities around that enhance the the operations and the quality and the return on investment on those areas, enhancing the relationships with the dealerships. And I'm sure that Bluewhite will also work with OEMs. So all the trio of startups, growers, dealerships, OEM, and the ecosystem will create more and more capability. And where at the end, the bottom line, that both of us, our kids, will just have good food that will not cost a fortune. This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, we're working on making sure that America and other places have food security, that you can produce at home, you can produce it at your country at scale, without worrying of basic things. This would be awesome if and when, I'm sure we will make it. So when will we make it? This is how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. I love your outlook, Ben. This was an inspiring conversation, and so I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your past and your mindset, as well as the company as a whole. So thanks for taking the time. Thank you for listening to Spilled Salt. I'm your host, Maureen Ballatori. Spilled Salt is an Agency 29 production. Agency 29 is a brand building firm for food, beverage, and agriculture brands. Learn more at agency29.com. For more information about the podcast, visit spilledsaltpodcast.com. Use that website to send me questions or recommendations for future guests. I always love hearing from you. Spilled Salt is available anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. Please like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.